Sit down, buckle up, we're talking finances. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie Renee. For my second episode of Life After College, I really wanted to get into finances, budgeting, saving, all things money, specifically for the post-grad life. I feel like I have so many things to say about this topic, and I've had some experiences that weren't so, I guess, ideal. So I just feel like I really want to come on here and share that, and maybe some of you can take something from it, learn something, learn from me, learn from my mistakes, and yeah, so let's get into it. So for starters, at the top of 2024, I was $2,000 in debt to myself. Insane. I know. What did you spend $2,000 on? If we back up, that was before I even graduated. That was the beginning of the spring semester of my last year in grad school. $2,000 in debt. Mind you, I had a job on campus. School was paid for. I took out student loans so that way my rent could be paid, yet I was still $2,000 in debt to myself. Why? Because I had no idea how to save, prioritize anything, budget. It's like I knew what those things were, and it's like, yes, people are saying you need to budget, you need to save, but the how was very difficult for me to get a grasp on. And I think the part that was even more difficult was, oh, I have to adjust this lifestyle that I've known literally for the past couple years of college, of doing what I want and buying what I want. And I know that's not everybody's experience, but at least it was for me. And so having to adjust to budget and no, you don't have money, you can't not use your refund check on whatever you want to use it on, like those things I did not have. So let's actually get into how I learned to overcome those struggles, to overcome my money problems. Number one, savings priorities. I think it's very difficult to just tell someone you need to save. Save for what? Right? What am I saving for? Sure, save for an apartment because I know I'm gonna graduate soon. I don't know how much all that's gonna cost, so it's not really as tangible as like, oh, I'm saving for a car, I'm saving for this. Having savings priorities, even just small ones, helped me so much. And I'm not gonna lie, my friends and family really helped me to develop my skills in these areas. So for example, I know that I like to online shop. I'm going to save money aside for online shopping. I'm literally going to put away $100 maybe a month towards online shopping. And I may not online shop every month, but me putting that $100 away every single month, if I haven't shopped in 2 months, I have $200 now. It was like small stuff like that. I think that defining what your savings priorities are and then creating a plan for it is really good, and attack that plan and be consistent and stick with that plan. If you're saving for a car, look up a bunch of how much cars are costing, the types of cars that you want. Look up what that is and get that in your head. Like, I know that I will be spending X amount of money. Put a plan in, even if it needs to be like a specific to a T type of plan. I'm a person, when I get paid, I write down my whole check and how I'm gonna spend it down to the dollar. But my savings priorities always come first. Soon I will be buying a car. I'm actively saving for a car. I have 2 trips that I'm going on this calendar year. I'm actively saving for those trips. And I also have kind of like milestones. Okay, I've gotten to this amount of money saved towards the trip to help me to really not feel like I'm just putting thousands of dollars into a well. And then another big thing is emergency savings. I actually, if you watched my last video, I was talking about how I had to get my car towed. The tow didn't cost money, but I had to get my battery replaced. That's $250. But because I have an emergency savings, or had been building up my emergency savings, I was able to pay that off without feeling like I was just out of $250. And emergency savings, I feel like, is so important. So my advice, save, like, I know some people say 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 6 to 9, however many months you feel is best for you in your situation. Maybe do at least 2 months of your like expenses, put that towards your fixed expenses, and really prioritize that. Make a plan, like how many weeks, how many paychecks, how many months is it going to take for me to reach my goal of say $5,000 or $3,000 for my emergency savings, and stick to that before you start prioritizing anything else. Because then you will always have that buffer of $2,000 to $3,000 in case something happens. And I just feel like that's super important. The second thing I want to get into is something that if my parents, or specifically my mom, were to watch this video, they would laugh that I'm even sharing this advice with you all. But live within your means. I know it's hard. I know nobody wants to hear that. I want to go on this trip. I want to buy this bag. I want to buy these clothes. I want to go out to eat every other day. I don't like to cook. And blah, 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 blah. You have to live within your means. Like literally, the savings and budgeting and prioritizing things will not work. You're doing all that stuff on the front end. You're not establishing a routine for yourself to be able to fall back on a routine later in life when some of that stuff will catch up to you. Maybe it won't. But you know what I'm saying? Like, live within your means. What I really mean by that is if you know you make X amount of money, after you pay your rent and after you pay your bills and after you've put aside money for your budget and after you've contributed to your savings, what does your month really look like? And I don't mean, oh, spending every last dollar of that extra money, because it just doesn't work like that. There's always gonna be, oh, I spent over because I was trying to maximize my little bit of personal money that I had. Live within your means. If you know that you can cook at home and you can afford groceries, just cook at home. Maybe splurge and eat out once a week or twice a month. I mean, you have to really start identifying areas in your life where you are splurging and not living within your means. And once you start to identify those, then you can prioritize, but you can prioritize which things are the most important to you. If buying designer handbags is important to you, then maybe you don't eat out as much. But if eating out and door dashing and all those things are a priority for you, then maybe you don't go and spend $500 at the mall. Put that money towards your savings and just, yeah. Also, I think it's really important to be aware of like that little $5 to $10 that you're spending during the week, that on just like regular stuff, like, oh, maybe you're going to get a coffee. Maybe you don't need that coffee. For a long time, like I would go and get Starbucks refreshers in the summertime, like every other day. It was like $6, $7 drinks every other day over a course of a week. So y'all can do the math. Like that money adds up. I could have put that towards my savings, or if I wanted something, I wanted something more expensive, I could have put the money towards that. Even the gas station. I'm notorious for gas station snack runs. You do not need a snack from the gas station. Just get the gas. Trust me, just get the gas. The third thing that I want to talk about is so important, which is the reason why I was $2,000 in debt to myself. Credit cards, credit card debt. I'm just gonna say this. I know that there's all these financial experts who will tell you otherwise. They'll tell you how good credit cards are, and they are, and they'll tell you how they can really benefit you in the long run. Let's just stop right there. If you're post-grad and you don't know how to use a credit card, don't. I feel like I still use my credit card. I've reined back my credit card use to very, very little because I feel that I'm irresponsible with it. And it's like, not even that I feel I'm irresponsible with money or just, oh, it's a credit card. Like I know that I need to pay it, but not having that liquid cash available makes it very easy for people like me to put things in the back of their head and then go ahead and pay for something else. And, oh, I'm gonna just throw it on my credit card, or, oh, I don't get paid until next week, I'm gonna throw it on my credit card, and, oh, I gotta get this plane ticket and I don't have $200 right now, so I'll just pay that off my credit card. No, you will have $2,000 or more in debt. Like, I'm not a person, I am not an advocate for using credit cards unless you really need to, because I know how it affected me. Now, if you are an experienced credit card user and you're perfectly fine, disregard what I'm saying. But if you don't know how to use a credit card, do not just have a credit card and put everything on it and not understand all things credit card, because I feel like it's very hard to get out of certain debt like that. And now it's like, oh, I have to pay off my credit card every month. I don't have money to do this. I don't have money to do that. Or you can be like some people and not pay off their credit card debt at all. I'm not judging. That's just not a good thing to do either. But My advice would be, if you are going to be a credit card user, really do your research and understand, look at different financial advisors and what their advice is on how to use them. But keep yourself out of credit card debt. Keep your credit card usage to a minimum if you're anything like me and you just know it can get out of hand. And also, this applies to both credit cards and just regular like checking accounts and debit cards. Don't play the, oh, I'm not gonna look game, because it never works. I'm serious. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's when people are like, oh yeah, I'll save looking for another day. Oh, I already know my bill is higher. I already know that I only have $20. I'm not gonna look. You have to look. I feel like not looking is you choosing to dismiss your crazy spending behavior. You should have no problem looking if you know you've been doing the right things. But even if you don't know if you've been doing the right things, or you know you have, I feel like it's super important to always know what your money status is. Check your bank accounts. If you're spending money every day, you should be looking at that bank account every day, period. Super quick tidbit about different types of like savings, large savings accounts, 401ks, Roth IRAs, any of those type of savings accounts. Definitely contribute if you can, and maximize that if you can. Obviously, anything is good. Any amount is good. Do as much as you can. I feel like it's so important in the long run. If you are getting that post-grad job and they offer 401k, especially a match, put as much of your money towards that as you can. I have maxed mine out and my company is matching that. The thing that's important about this is that money is coming out before you even get your check. Before your money's in your hands, you've already paid yourself your 401k, and you will get used to having the physical amount every single paycheck. So it's not, oh, I made this amount of money and then my 401k, I paid that. That money's gone. Over time, you'll get used to not seeing that amount of money in your check, and it will be really, really beneficial for you, for your budgeting, for your savings, because you're already saving, and maybe you save some more of your extra money on top of your 401k. Whether it's a Roth, a 401k, contribute to something. Next up, budgeting. Disclaimer for the whole video. I'm not an expert at any of this. These are just my experiences and what I feel has worked for me, but budgeting. Budgeting is so important. It's more important than I thought. It's probably way more important than anybody thinks. And it's like, oh, you're saying budget, like budget. When I first was learning about budgets, I felt like it was like, okay, sure, I have to pay rent and I have to pay this. No, I mean budget. Like, this is how much my groceries usually cost me. This is how much my gas should cost me. This is how much my subscriptions will cost me. This is how much drinks with the girls on the weekend may cost me, and all of those types of things. So I think that the best way to start a budget is to, one, tone down the spending, and then two, take a look at your habits. Take a look at your spending habits, your necessity habits. How much am I spending on food in a week? How much am I spending in 2 weeks? Depending on how much you get paid, you need to make sure that when you're creating your budget, you can take in account all of that stuff. For me personally, I know how much my rent costs. I know how much my bills cost, my electricity. I know how much my Wi-Fi costs, and I know how much food and gas money I'm going to spend in a 2-week period, since I get paid twice a month or every 2 weeks. However much money that is, I don't even visualize it as being mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I get paid, I know immediately, as soon as that check hits as soon as the money hits my account, I'm putting money aside for XYZ things, right? That has been super, super beneficial for me with managing my money, just putting away the necessities first. After I do my necessities, I have goals for my savings. Like I was talking about earlier, I'm trying to save for a car. I'm trying to save for multiple trips. My saving goals are pretty aggressive. So on top of my 401k, I'm saving a good chunk of my leftover money every single check. For me, it makes my kind of personal play money throughout the 2 weeks a little bit more tight, but I'm fine with that because I know in the long run, I'll have a lot of fun on these trips, right? So I put away the money for my fixed expenses and my bills and all of that. I put a good chunk of money away for my savings, and then I look and I say, how much money is left? I'm one of those people now, I didn't used to be, but I'm one of those people now who may even look at that extra little bit of money and say, I know I'm not doing anything over the next 2 weeks. How about I put a little bit more towards my savings? That has been really helpful for me with, again, my aggressive savings goals. But that's the best way. Once you know how much money you should have left, then you'll be able to know what to do with that money. So if you say you have $200 left as play money, that's plenty of money for a 2-week span to go and do whatever. You know what I'm saying? You just know what you can do once you budget and actually know how much money you have. Not how much money you make, but how much money you will physically have after you pay for everything. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Really look at your spending habits. Look at areas, like I was saying earlier, where you really don't need to be spending that much money. Me, I've got more comfortable in the kitchen. I cook a lot. It also helped I moved to a new city and I didn't know any of the good restaurants. So it's not even like eating out was just this huge thing for me that I felt like I was gonna miss out on. I wasn't missing out cooking at home. Maybe instead of going out and getting drinks all the time, maybe I just become a bartender. Maybe I become a mixologist in my own home, you know? Just finding different areas of your life where you know that you could take your spending back, super, super duper important, and will help you in the long run, because then it'll become a habit. I feel like the most important thing out of everything I say is just the routine and the habit. These things may be uncomfortable right away, especially if you have things that you need to pay for as a new grad. I have student loan debt. I have a new car that I'm most likely gonna need to buy soon because my car is really old, and it doesn't feel very fun at first to have to, you know, chuck your whole check away at all this stuff that's not even here yet, right? But over time, it becomes a habit. Your new lifestyle, which again can still be plenty of fun with a little bit less money, but your modified spending becomes a habit, and it doesn't have to feel so hard to budget and save and put away money for the things that you know that you're gonna want later down in the line. The last big thing I feel is super important is the fun. It's your wants. It's the stuff that you're saving for. It's the stuff that you want to do, but you still have to be strategic about it. It's not like, oh, I want an $800 whatever, and I'm just gonna get that with my next check. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. I mean, if you balling like that, definitely do your thing. But if you, like me, are not balling like that, make a plan. You can still buy fun things. You can still go shopping. You can still do everything that you were doing. You just need to plan for it. Really, savings and budgeting is just planning. It's a lot of planning, and sometimes it can be annoying, but it's, again, I'm saying important for like the 15th time, but it's extremely important. So I personally feel like there's a couple different ways that you could attack your wants. If you know, maybe if you don't know exactly what you want, or you don't have something that's a little bit higher in price in mind, just like I said earlier, set a little bit of money aside each check. Then you'll have that money for when you do want to buy something fun. And then there's, I guess, option 2, where I have something that costs X amount of money, and I know that if I can get it in a month, well, not a month, because there's only 2 checks, but say, oh, I can get that in 2 to 3 months if I save X amount of money every single check. You have the cost of whatever the thing is that you want to buy, and you can split that up. Make it a bill. I think if you also think of your wants, if you prioritize your wants kind of like you prioritize your bills, I don't think you would have a problem with buying something later, because you know, okay, I'm paying my bills, I'm doing my savings, I'm doing all this other stuff. Oh, and I literally cannot think of a thing that somebody would want to buy that's expensive, but I want that thing. That thing costs $800. I am going to save $200 a month towards that thing and get it in 4. If you can be a little bit patient on your wants, then I think it will be super duper beneficial for you and your money. The third one, and I really, really like this one, is like to set an incentive for yourself. So if I do really good at saving for X amount of weeks or X amount of months or X amount of paychecks, then I can buy myself whatever. I think just thinking about it in different ways can help it to be help it to feel less like a chore and more like being responsible. I think when something feels like a chore, it feels tiring, and it can feel like that. I mean, from my experience, I have felt like that. Like, oh my gosh, I'm putting my whole check away to all these different things, and I want to go do this, and I want an extravagant birthday trip, and I can't do those. It's like I can do those things, but I just know the future will be set up so much better if I just rein it in. Get creative with it. I mean, seriously, whatever ways that you can find to help yourself make all the things that you want to spend your money on a plan, like a real plan. I just feel like it's the best way to handle your money and stuff. But really, the most important piece is to give yourself grace. And I really don't say this lightly. We're new grads. We're new to this. We're new to making this amount of money. We're new to maybe having all these bills. We're just new to this, so you have to give yourself grace. We're human. We're bound to make mistakes. There's always going to be things that set us back, like my having to get the car towed and my battery fixed, or even medical bills. I mean, I'm not gonna say a slew, but I've been to the doctor 3 times since November, and that's stuff that I'm gonna have to pay for. But because of proper budgeting and saving and planning with my money, I can find a way to make that stuff work. But yeah, we're new to this. It's going to take some time, and there's going to be a learning curve. I've had a couple different attempts at budgeting and saving. Not every single one will stick. Not anything that I tell you may stick. Maybe you have to find something extremely unique for yourself in your situation. But please give yourself grace. Say you get like $2,000 in credit card debt like me. It's okay. Set a plan for yourself so we don't become brokies. But in all seriousness, like, it is okay. We're like brand new adults. We have to start all over. And budgeting and saving and just proper financial planning is a great way to start. Some of my final thoughts before I go: even if you don't think you're saving enough, you're still saving. That one took me a while to really understand. It's like I would, again, look at the bank account. Like I'm telling you, I would go and look at how much I'm saving and look at the amount increase and just feel like this is not enough. Even if you save $10, if all you can save is $10, you have saved $10. Even if you think it's not enough, you're still saving. And again, don't hide from your bank account, okay? We're not doing that in 2025 and forward. Don't hide from your bank account. Know how much money is in all of your bank accounts. Just don't hide from that bank account. What's another one? You do not need that coffee. You can make coffee at home. Coffee's been around for billions and billions and billions of years. You do not need whatever coffee shop is near your house for $12. You can make that coffee at home. Another good one. Oh, write stuff down. For me, I need to physically see it. Like, however you write it down is however. I couldn't even give you advice on how to write it down, because sometimes for me, it's just thinking. I think to myself, I have a thought in the middle of the workday and I need to write it down. Oh, I know that I'm gonna buy this at the end of the week. Let me go ahead and subtract that from my budget. Subtract that from my check. I am actively always planning for how much money I have and will have until I get paid again. I feel like writing that down for me is super important, whether you put it on your computer or your iPad or whatever you have. Just get it down, physically down. Do not keep it all in your head unless you're like a super genius with a photographic memory and like your IQ is 4,000. But I like to write stuff down so I can physically see it, I can check it off, and it's just very helpful for me to know what's going on. But anyways, y'all, that was the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I hope that you were able to take something away from it or learn something, or maybe just relate to some of my experiences. I just know how important it is now being in it, and I also know how not important I thought it was before I graduated. So hey, we're here. But as I said before, these things take time and practice. Please give yourself grace. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below what you're most excited for as a new grad, or what has been your like favorite thing since being a new grad. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.